The Biden administration has again promised every American who wants to leave Afghanistan will be evacuated.
They have indeed, but we did see, as you mentioned, the president there not taking any questions on this, but they did confirm today that at least 10,400 more Americans have been evacuated in the last 24 hours on 28 different US military flights out of Kabul. But this still leaves the huge question over what happens to all the Afghans who supported the US government over the last 2 decades. But the administration is confirming again that they will see every US citizen evacuated. But the big question mark over that too is the fact they don't know how many are there. Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, today saying that many of the Americans were required to register themselves, and they're using the language that anyone who wants to leave will be evacuated. It's hard to imagine anyone in Afghanistan right now not wanting to leave if they had the opportunity to do so. But the other big question is, where does this leave America's allies around the world watching what's happened over the last 2 weeks? Jake Sullivan commented on that.
You look at the scenes at the Kabul airport, and what I see is the United States securing an airfield at the risk of several thousand American troops to facilitate not just the evacuation of Americans, but to facilitate the evacuation of third country nationals from friends and foes alike.
Confirmation there that the troops are in danger, and there has been confirmation too that one member of the Afghan forces was killed and several wounded during an exchange of gunfire at Kabul airport. But the other focus has been on Kamala Harris during this. She's off on a tour of Asia that was pre-planned, we're told, but in particular there has been focus on what her response has been to what's been happening in Afghanistan. In a joint press conference with Singapore's Prime Minister, she was put in focus about her response, but also again where this leaves America's allies.
I think there's going to be plenty of time to analyze what has happened and what has taken place in the context of the withdrawal from Afghanistan. But right now, we are singularly focused on evacuating American citizens, Afghans who worked with us, and Afghans who are vulnerable, including women and children.
Post-Afghanistan, in the longer term, what matters is how the U.S. repositions itself in the Asia-Pacific, engages the broader region, and continues the fight against terrorism, because that will determine the perceptions of the countries, of the U.S. global priorities, and of its strategic intentions.
So an uncomfortable press conference for the Vice President there, but more uncomfortable was when she disembarked the plane in Singapore. When she was greeted by reporters asking questions about Afghanistan, she laughed, which has received quite a bit of negative press coverage here.
Madam Vice President, what's your response to reports of Americans?
Hold on. Slow down, everybody.
The other important aspect that Jake Sullivan was asked about was this idea that the August 31st deadline could be pushed back. There's already been strong rhetoric from Afghanistan and the Taliban in particular that they would not welcome that. There would not be any kind of grace period if the US said they needed longer to evacuate US citizens. But there was also the optimism at this briefing today that they wouldn't need that extra time with the ramping up, now exceeding 37,000 US citizens evacuated.
That's Annalise Nielsen reporting live from the White House. Annalise, thank you.